What's going on? I'm Lawrence Owen, and today we're going to go over why having a stud, top five, number one wide receiver on your team can actually hurt the performance of the quarterback on that same team. Now, when said out loud, that sounds positively and absolutely ridiculous, right? How does having a great receiver on your team hurt the performance of the quarterback? Well, I'm going to get into that. Right? I'm going to get into multiple reasons why. And it has to do with the quarterback, not the receiver. All right? It has to do with the mindset of the quarterback and what he's looking at on the field, knowing he has that reliable guy on the field with him at all times. Now, before I get into it, please don't forget, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so that you're notified next time I go live. And now, let's check it out. Now, this is an excellent example of this. In this play, Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, right? He's got a number one receiver here. And if you look, Hopkins right here in the slot, right? Fuller outside. Watch what happens here. Watch how this play plays out. It's unbelievable that, as you see, he's looking, then he switches over, looks back, realizes flushed out of the pocket, runs away. Why is that? Why did that happen that way? Well, let's take a quick gander. Because as soon as this ball is snapped, he steps back and he's looking this way, but he's actually going to be looking right back at Hopkins, right? Turns his head, looking straight at Hopkins. Watching Hopkins. Now, he shouldn't be looking at Hopkins. All right? If he knows Hopkins is running a route this way, he needs to start out here. Look out here at the wide right. If Hopkins is going left, start right. That way, as this play develops, he's like, oh, okay, he's covered. Move to the next guy that's going to be on that list, which would be this guy right here coming out, sliding outside. Instead of staring right over here between these two guys, right? He looked at Hopkins too long. Then he looked this way. He never looks in this general direction other than a brief glance at Hopkins, who was his first look. He stops. Now look. If he had looked at him as his second option and then worked over to Hopkins, he would have seen him. He could have threw this ball gently right across the seam here. He could have caught that ball, ran upfield, picked up nice chunk of yardage, right? Easily, as the second option. But he didn't. He didn't. Instead, he's looking over here. Now his receiver's falling, the guy he's looking at. So what's he do? He immediately turns right back to Hopkins instead of looking further to the right. Hopkins is taking up too much of his attention. Way too much of his attention. And he's not seeing the other guys on the field. Right? This guy right here, you see how he's cutting back? He'd have a first down right now if he threw the ball right now at the 50-yard line. But he never looks over this direction. He never looks at this guy's direction. If he threw the ball at him, look, he's just now recognizing, oh crap. This dude's open. You got a corner hanging down on top of the running back. Now it's too late. He's starting to feel pressure. He takes off. He's looking. He can't really throw the ball in the direction of where Hopkins is running because you got a corner underneath. You got a corner over top. He's just got to run the ball. Basically gets nothing out of it. Whereas if he'd have thrown to the guy earlier, like I said, go through your progressions. This is first down. He could have easily picked up the majority, if not all of that. But he never looks this way because Hopkins is going this way. Since Hopkins is going to the left, he keeps his eyes always on the left. You got to have your main guy as your second or third or even fourth option. your number one guy, because you never know. Other people, like, might be open. They might be open to pick up some positive yards. It's about moving the sticks. It's not about getting your main guy the ball whenever you possibly can. Another reason why you don't have your number one best receiver as your first option on progressions, you will tend to throw to them when it's not a good decision to throw to them, just because, you're relying on them rather than going through your progressions, finding the open guy, even when they're double covered. This is a great situation here with Baker Mayfield. OBJ sitting here in the slot, right? Now, OBJ's on the left side of the field. So in my opinion, you should start on the right side of the field, all the way out here, and look towards the left. Go through your progressions. Bam, bam, bam. And OBJ would be your fourth option here. Well, let's watch what happens in this play. He just threw that right into double coverage. Really short, would have got no yardage out of it, even if he caught it. Double covered. Really? That's because OBJ was his number one option here. He'd have picked up, 4 or 5 yards at the most, if he would have caught it. Now, let's go back. Go back to what I'm talking about. When you got number one guy, first off, your number one guy is going to be covered by the best, right? Like Jalen Ramsey or someone like that. He's going to be covered by the best guy on your team. When you're looking away from them, usually the second best guys are going to be over there. Now, let's take a look what happens. Let's go through this slowly. As this ball gets height, you're going to see what I'm talking about. First option will be this guy. Ball snapped. Now, immediately, as you watch, you see a guy running this way. You got a guy over the top. Obviously, not a good sign here to throw the football. So you move to the second option. At this point, he's not a bad option. Your second option, not a bad option, right? He throws the ball. He drops this thing right about here. There's a good chance he could catch it, right? You throw a little zip on it. So make sure you get it over this linebacker here. Throw it right over the linebacker. Drop it about right here. He'd be able to turn, catch the football. Probably get hit about the same time, but you're getting yardage out of it. Now, Baker's already throwing the football. So at this point, it's kind of speculation, okay? But let's say he decides not to throw to him, even though he's definitely the best option at this point. Your third option is going on an out route here. Right now. Did you see that? Third option, as soon as it breaks. Now, the linebacker would be catching. This linebacker's way out here. He's just now breaking this way because he knows that Baker threw the football, right? But he would still be over here covering the wide receiver out wide. You had an option here. He would have been open. Linebacker's not covering him as he breaks out. Short yardage option would have been available. This guy's still an option, right? Looping it over the middle right about here. Let him run to it. Throw the receiver open, right? Probably get hit, but, it's a first down. But this guy right here, but granted, this would have been a late throw. You would have wanted to have thrown it back here when he was at the 40, right? To drop it right over the middle. because the linebacker's not watching the quarterback at this point in time. He was paying attention to this guy coming into his zone, right? Now, bam. Instead, it was a short 4 or 5 yard attempt at a completion to OBJ, because OBJ's his number one receiver. And he was double covered in the zone with everybody looking back, right? Everybody was looking back at him as he was throwing. You think, well, I mean, OBJ was open when he stopped and turned around, right? No. As he throws this football, everybody's back looking at him. They are going to crash down and hit him right then. And they do. That ball's not there fast enough. They're there as the ball. You're lucky that wasn't picked off by the linebacker, to be honest. This is why you go through your progressions away from your number one. Away from your number one. Now here is an example of what happens when you don't have a number one wide receiver. Deshaun Watson last year, let's face it, he didn't have DeAndre Hopkins, right? He had a bunch of other guys. Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller, Kenny Stills, Randall Cobb, right? Bunch of other receivers that are good, but not DeAndre Hopkins level. Which means he has to go through his progressions now rather than focus in on one guy. And last year, Watson had the best statistical year of his career. The best statistical career game or season of his career. And here against Green Bay, who we all know has a very good pass defense, he has a heck of a game against them as well. You know, over 70% completions, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Great game. Why? Because he went through his progressions to find the open receiver. And on this play, you're going to see it. I mean, good Lord, this is not something that you fully expect from, you know, he's throwing it to everybody. He threw it to every receiver. Let's watch this play right here as this develops. Look at that. He's going through all of his progressions. All of them. And then found his man. Watch what happens when he's sitting in the pocket. Watch this. He's looking this way. No one there. Looking that way. Moves off to the next one. No one there. Moves off to the next one. That's third. Fourth option. Before he finally like, oh, look. There's a guy wide open coming across. Wide open. That's what happens. You're able to get through your progressions faster because you're not lingering on that number one guy. You're not putting so much attention to that number one guy. And that allows the quarterback to play better. Now, that's just a mental thing. If you start your career off like that, as long as you have that number one guy, that's going to happen. Now, what happens when you get a number one guy brought in when you haven't had a number one guy in a while? We're going to find that out this year. With the Titans, A.J. Brown, was Corey Davis. Then A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was Ryan Tannehill's number. Now they've got Julio Jones. How is that going to affect Ryan Tannehill, right? Is he going to linger on him? Or is he going to, use him just like another receiver? Go through your progressions. The good receiver will get open, and you find him as you get through your progressions rather than just lingering on him. We're going to find out. Thanks for watching, man. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Smash that like. I'd really appreciate it. And feel welcome. Hit the share. Share it to your favorite social media or blogs or whatnot. And, description of the video for my Patreon and my merch shop. Make sure to check out the Colts Law merch shop. The link is in the description of this video. There are a ton of high quality, reasonably priced items there that you can choose from. And all you got to do is just click one button and you can go and check out all these great merchandise items.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.